Okay, let's look at these end of season stats after the last game of the season where we went 14-3. Anthony Richardson has 2,799 yards, couldn't quite get to that 3,000 yard mark, 22 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 59%. That's actually a pretty realistic stat when it comes to the 59%. I think he's going to be a little bit lower. I think it's going to be more 54, 55, but still pretty realistic. Rushing wise, Evan Hall, bye-bye Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor who? Ain't nobody know, because we got Evan Hall. He had 1,524 yards, 20 touchdowns with 2 fumbles. He had an amazing season rushing wise. Anthony Richardson was right behind him with 1,280 yards, 21 touchdowns. Again, I say, Jonathan Taylor who? And then Kenjon Drake with 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receiving wise, everybody did crappy. Josh Downs, 560, 4 touchdowns. He was our leading receiver. 558 for Mo Alley-Cox, 5 touchdowns. Alec Pierce, 556, 5 touchdowns. 536 with Michael Pittman, 3 touchdowns. And then 253 yards by Evan Hull with 4 touchdowns. Kenyon Drake, 216. And Jelani Woods with 95 and a touchdown. So really, our wide receivers were very even. Our top 4 wide receivers legit had almost identical stats. I mean, it's insane. And then our 5th receiver was just behind him. If you add the 2 running backs together as a 5th receiver, then that's really identical to those other guys too. I mean, just nuts. All right, defensively, leader in sacks, Shaq Leonard with 6.5, 5.5 by Zaire Franklin. Hey, it's Franklin. He's gonna sack you. Buckner with 4, Stewart with 4, Taquan Lewis with 4, Joe Schober with 3.5. Tackles for loss, 13 by DeForest Buckner, Shaq Leonard with 12. Interceptions, though, 4 by Cross, 4 by Blackman, 3 by Moore, 2 by Brents, 1. All right, then we have the kicker, Christopher Dunn from NC State, the best kicker in college football. He went 10 of 10, 100%, 53 was his longest, 30 for 30 for extra points. He actually had many more extra points, but they're not counting all the extra points. I don't know why. Areza with 49.3 yards per punt, net punt average of 42.8. He had a whole total of 4. Kick return, 73 yards, 1 kick return by Evan Hall. And then 663 yards, 284 yards. I mean, really, kick return, punt return was just crap. I mean, we didn't do nothing. All right, so there's that. Now let's take a look at these in-season awards. Let's look at the yearly awards. Joe Burrow pretty much just sealed MVP. Anthony Richardson got AFC Player of the Year. Evan Hall right behind him. Holy crap. Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody on our team. Our defense sucked. Anthony Richardson and Evan Hall were 1 and 2. Josh Downs was 7th. For Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Brents was 4th, so he had an okay. Had he got 1 or 2 more interceptions, probably would have been a little bit further up there. Quarterback of the Year, Anthony Richardson was 2nd to Joe Burrow. We're going to have to look at Joe Burrow's stats. Evan Hall made it to 1st after that last game. He was 2nd the entire season, and then he just jumped up to 1st after he got his 20th touchdown of the season and 1,500 yards rushing. Nuts. Wide receivers, nobody on our team. Quentin Nelson wins Offensive Lineman of the Year. I'm okay with that. That's awesome. Defensive Lineman of the Year. Nobody on our team. Nobody on our team. And then defense back. There we go. Nick Cross was all the way at 8th. That's terrible. Kicker of the Year, Christopher Dunn. Love that he won that, or it looks like he's going to win that. All right, so now let's take a look at the actual full stats of just the offense, guys. So we'll go look at the quarterbacks. Let's see who did what. Dak Prescott, 33 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,500 yards. He led with 4,500 yards. Patrick Mahomes right behind him with 32 touchdowns. But Joe Burrow, 42 touchdowns on the season with only 6 interceptions. That is nuts. 36 by Geno Smith, so he kept it up with 9 touchdowns. And then Desmond Ridder, 36 touchdowns, which is awesome for him, but 16 interceptions. That's tough. They did get the number 1 seed, which is insane. Aaron Rodgers, a terrible season. That is very unrealistic. 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Man has barely ever had 12 interceptions in a season. There was 3 seasons where he didn't even have 12 interceptions in 3 seasons. So for him to have 14 interceptions in a season seems very unlikely. Trevor Lawrence, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's awesome. Josh Allen, 27-4. So, really, these guys stepped it up. Josh Jacobs was the leading rusher. Derrick Henry was second. Christian McCaffrey, third. Fourth, Austin Eckler. Evan Hall was number 5, but he was the leader in touchdowns right behind Anthony Richardson, so that would be why he won Player of the Year. Oh, Running Back of the Year. And then CeeDee Lamb was the receiver. Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp. All right, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. This was the stats.